parents of, the spousee and the spouser. So nice to have you in town today. Today, you will have an opportunity to witness, as it may be, there's no such thing as a standard retirement or transfer to fleet reserve ceremony in the Navy. I've been to several in my 33 years plus Navy career. Just went to one yesterday. Again, it was about as different as this one will be today. I'd like to think that each and every retirement, as one approaches life, comes and it ends up being tailor-made, if you will, for the individual who's seen the time come to leave the Navy. We all have to face it. We all got to do it. We just kind of, some just keep postponing it. And I'm one of those who's tried to keep postponing it. But it is something that's going to come about, and we're really pleased to have all of you, the friends and members of the detachment, with us today to witness this ceremony. So now, the Master Chief tells me to keep me out of trouble. There's a script, and I'll do my best to try to follow the script. Fidelity Cunningham, front and center. Bruce, would you join your wife alongside, please? Without the support of family members, say this is a very unusual and special case, because when you both, the military members, and you both have to be subject to watch standing and deployments and being gone from one another at different times, and you got to be a mama and a daddy and a mama and a counselor and a teacher, and all those things. It's even, I think, even more so to be a spouse, and then to be a military spouse is even more incredible, and I commend you. We're pleased that you've been a part of this thing for all these years on behalf of your bride. 20, about 18 years, 17 years, something like that, long enough. At least you made a career out of it. I mean, at this point in life, you can't afford to get rid of it. I mean, if you understand the rules. That's what my wife tells me. It's not one of the distractors, son. Okay. It's now my privilege to offer you the official side of this for your benefit.
Letter of appreciation to Mr. Bruce Cunningham. Dear Mr. Cunningham, today your wife, Stephanie, will end her naval career after completing 20 years of active military service. When considering a career in the Navy, one frequently thinks of the hardships to which the career Navy person is subjected. While not detracting from their personal sacrifices, I am inclined to think that spouses of our career personnel deserve even greater credit for making sacrifices. The long separations, the loneliness of nights when wives stand watches, the moves after each tour all demand much of the Navy spouse. To do his share of the Navy family's job, he must also manage the household while his wife is deployed, and the list of these duties is endless. Although you have stood many inspections and rendered numerous salutes, I feel that the support you have given your wife can rightly be termed a service to your country. Because of your outstanding support, your wife was able to complete an honorable and faithful career in keeping with the highest standards and traditions of the Naval Service. On behalf of the officers, men, and women of Naval Air Maintenance Training Group Detachment, Cecil Field, Florida, and the Navy Department, I would like to express my appreciation for a job well done. Sincerely, B.C. Carawan, Commander, Officer in Charge.
We'll say this. We've got a Master Chief to take care of this thing. Okay. Before we get into the rest of the festivities that go with this particular ceremony, the last 20 years, you, Stephanie Cunningham, had the pleasure to serve number one in 3 decades in the Navy. You've seen a complete change in the structure of the Navy, from a Cold War fighting machine, if you will, to where the females in the military service were basically administrative in nature. That was the nature of their jobs. In the 60s, the 50s, there was a fairly small population of the military side of the service as far as female members. in the days, in the early 70s, when you come in, things started changing. You become a very integral part of the day-to-day functions of our life. You've been a part of that, to see it change. When we had a very rough, slow time in the Navy in the early 70s, the middle 70s, we got down, we were putting people to ships to sea, airplane squadrons deployed. We didn't have the necessary talent to get there. You've seen all these things come about in your tenure. You've been through the drug age, the drug side of the Navy. We think we've kind of got that under control in today's standards by having you come in and you've been a technician across the United States, overseas, and I personally think it's something to be proud of. You've been right here at Namtrade at Cecil Field. Your personal contribution, not only in your day-to-day business of being an instructor, but you've also been a true counselor to a lot of our sailors and Marines in some capacities. You've been a major part of us winning the golden or the silver anchor award this last year. I blame you, you should have got the golden anchor. But you've been a major part of that in its own way. There's more to it than just going out talking to people about what they do, what they don't do, what the benefits of the Navy benefits are. But you've been a real part of it, and being the female side of it, I applaud you. And I think it's this time is coming before it gets really official. I'd like to offer a round of applause to our sailor. So if you would join me, please. Hale Cunningham. Really sincere. If I hadn't have another sister, I could take you on board. I guess I grew up with three of you, if you will, and they chased me with knives and all that, so I'm sure you don't feel no different. But
I didn't have a brother.
But it's been, really appreciate having you on board and serving the capacity that you have done. Now, it's my time to start passing out some things.
On behalf of the men and women of Namtrade at Cecil Field, I want to present you this doghouse. And show it to your family first. This is, y'all haven't seen one of these before. This is a flag that's been flown over the Capitol. This is our duty stations. Those are the red ribbons you earned and the ranks you held. So, present that to you. Take your hands off one on one. Congratulations. Okay.
The flag of the United States of America. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol on 1 January 1992 at the request of the Honorable Charles E. Bennett, Member of Congress. This flag will be presented to AT-1AW Stephanie Cunningham, United States Navy, on the occasion of her transfer to the Fleet Reserve, 31 January 1993, with 20 years of naval service. Signed, George M. White, Architect of the Capitol. From Officer in Charge, Naval Air Maintenance Training Group Detachment, Naval Air Station Cecil Field, to AT-1AW Stephanie R. Cunningham, United States Navy. Citation for meritorious service. On the occasion of your release from active duty and transfer to the Fleet Reserve, it is with great pleasure that I commend you on your 20 years of military service. On behalf of the President of the United States, the Secretary of the Defense, the Secretary of the Navy, and the Chief of Naval Operations, I wish to express congratulations and our sincere appreciation for the honorable service you have rendered to the United States of America. During difficult and dangerous times, you have performed an outstanding service to your country and to the protection of freedom throughout the world. Your assignments since you have entered naval service have included Command Center Memphis, RBAW-110 NAS North Island, AIND NAS Miramar, BQ-4 NAS Patuxent River, BQ-3 NAS Agana Guam, AIMD NAS Corpus Christi, AIMD NAS Sigonella, Italy, and Namtrade Group at Cecil Field, Florida. You have set an example for others by receiving 3 meritorious unit commendations, 5 Good Conduct Medals, 2 National Defense Service Medals, 3 Overseas Service Medals, and 2 Sea Service Deployment Ribbons. You have also earned designation as an Enlisted Aviation Warfare Specialist and a Master Training Specialist. You can be justly proud of having served your country in a manner that has been in keeping with the highest standards and traditions of the naval service. I wish you continued success, and may your life and work be fruitful and rewarding as it has been in the Navy and here at Cecil Field, Florida. On behalf of your many shipmates, both past and present, I wish you fair winds and following seas. D.C. Caroline. Officer in Charge, Naval Air Maintenance Training Group Detachment, Cecil Field, Florida, takes pleasure in presenting a letter of commendation to Aviation Electronics Technician First Class Stephanie Ruth Cunningham, United States Navy. Her services is set forth in the following citations. For professional achievement while assigned as an FA-18 Communication and Navigation Instructor at Naval Air Maintenance Training Group Detachment, NAS Cecil Field, from January 1991 to January 1993. Petty Officer Cunningham distinguished herself as a Master Training Specialist while graduating over 100 students. As Command Career Counselor, she was directly responsible for establishing and managing a career information program that resulted in the detachment earning the Silver Anchor Award from Commander Naval Technical Training. She volunteered to establish and manage a Partners in Excellence partnership with Crystal Springs Elementary School that resulted in 600 of 1,148 students showing marked improvement in Sailor of the Quarter for the fourth quarter of 1991, stands as testimony of her unparalleled motivation, dedication, and devotion to duty. Petty Officer Cunningham, you can truly be proud of your accomplishments. They are in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service, and on behalf of myself and the men and women of Nantrig Redette, I commend you on a job well done. Signed, D.C. Caroline, Commander of the United States Navy. Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States. Stephanie R. Cunningham. I extend to you my personal thanks and sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to your country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud tradition of the military service. I trust that in the coming years you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purposes for which you serve. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, George Bush, Commander-in-Chief. Fleet Reserve of the United States Navy. This is to certify that Stephanie Ruth Cunningham, an Aviation Electronics Technician First Class, was transferred from active duty to the Fleet Reserve of the United States Navy on the 31st day of January 1993 after 20 years of service. This certificate is awarded as a testimony of faithful and honorable service. Signed, D.C. Caroline, Commander, U.S. Navy.
Chance to see all the things I've been standing there presenting and offering to her. I've been talking, trying to keep her calm down here, talking about how warm her hands were, things like that to get her mind off the tension. She told me mine was cold. That's my typical cold heart, I guess. That being the case, now is an opportunity for you, before we proceed with the official side of the ceremony, to walk you down the red road here. Give you a chance to come up here and hold the podium. So if you, so if else Cunningham.
I'm going to hold it too, so don't fall over. First of all, remember, family. Thank you for coming. It's been really nice for 20 years. But my favorite duty station was Fair Market. That's where I met my husband. When I was teaching, I didn't do this, so this is a little bit more difficult to do. They always say that save the best for last. And after looking back at the 20 years, I really think I have. This was the ultimate duty station. It's been my pleasure working with a group of super people and wonderful professionals, and I'm really honored to have known all of you. And thank you for coming, and before I flood this place, I'm going to call it quits, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
So you did.
Not real well.
Standing the watch. I'm aged for many years, this woman has stood the watch. While some of us lay in our bunks at night, this woman stood the watch. While others of us attended school, this woman stood the watch. And yes, even before some of us were born, this shipmate stood the watch. As our families watched storm clouds of war building on the horizons of history, this shipmate stood the watch. Though she saw her family ashore, often needing guidance, she still stood the watch. For 20 years, she stood the watch, so that we, our fellow countrymen, could sleep soundly in safety each night. Today, we are here to say, shipmate, the watch stands relieved. Relieved by those you have led, guided, and trained. You stand relieved, Petty Officer Cunningham. We have the watch.
Now it's time to do it. Petty Officer Cunningham, I will now read your orders. From the Chief of Bureau of Naval Personnel, AT-1 AW Stephanie R. Cunningham, USN. In accordance with instructions of the Chief of Naval Personnel, you are hereby transferred to Fleet Reserve effective 2400, 31 January 1993. Boats to side boys and prepare to pipe Petty Officer Cunningham ashore.
Spanish, French, English, Dutch. Yes, all the navies of the world use the boatswain, side boys, and call to bring aboard or send ashore all ship's company officers, visiting officers, dignitaries, and VIPs. The side boys would haul on the ropes to raise or lower the boarding platform so officers would not have to climb the ratlines which were hanging over the side and used by the enlisted crew when going ashore or to get aboard. This honor was extended to visiting officers, dignitaries, and port officials. It was not uncommon for the commanding officer of a ship to order up the jolly boat, a crew of 8 strong backs, side boys, and boatswain, to send an old shipmate and fellow officer to a short retirement, home, never to sail on naval ships again. All hands on deck was passed. Speeches were made about great victories, battles fought upon the open sea, raging storms weathered, and voyages to distant and strange lands with ports of calls others only dreamed about. Then a fine sword, a brace of pistols, a rifle or musket, or maybe a sea chest of fine wood and bound in brass was presented to them to remind them of the crews and ships that they had served with. The boatswain would stand tall, the retiree would request permission to go ashore, step to the platform, and the side boys would lower away. As the jolly boat pulled away, the gunner would fire a salute from the ship's main battery. The retiree sat in the stern sheets, going ashore. In the 1700s, the U.S. Navy set sail with new ideas, new goals, and a desire to build traditions that would last through the test of time. The U.S. Navy led the way with providing honors for crewmen. The 1800s saw enlisted men holding retirements for enlisted men for the first time. The captain would allow the jolly boat to take the enlisted retiree ashore. Then, after the Civil War, commanding officers began to hold enlisted ceremonies to show the crew that he and the Navy recognized the contributions of its enlisted crewmen. Today, our Navy has given most of the pomp and circumstance, the honors, traditions, and ceremonies back to history. Time does not give us the freedom to do these things from the past, but we still heave to, stop all engines, lay about smartly, and drop anchor to pay honor to one of our shipmates going ashore. To honor the years served, the guidance, the leadership, friendship, and expertise that this shipmate has freely given these 20 years.
Petty Officer Cunningham, party. Bruce, you may join your wife for the second walk through. Mrs. Cunningham, your party.
Well, I didn't back here.
Okay, scoot over,
This
please.
part for me.
Left-handed.
That's not me. I'll look like that in maybe a couple of years. I have all kinds of running
Yeah,
time
I'm
now.
sure you're going to get out and start running and jogging like the rest of us.
Stephanie, did you happen to come up and design that running logo there for you? Is that the Stephanie?
No, but I'm sure somebody did it for me. You know,